listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream. This is AFTERBUZZ TV for Weeds. Tonight's host is DJ Jesse Janedy. Joining Jesse will be AFTERBUZZ co-hosts Aaron LaRosa and David Schifilliti. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Weeds news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, DJ Jesse Janedy.
Yo, what up, AfterBuzzers? It's your boy DJ Jesse Janedy, and we're here with David Schifilliti.
Hi.
How are you?
Schifilliti. I'm good.
I know, but
You like screwing up my name?
Well, I just like the way I roll it off my tongue.
When you roll it off your
The
tongue.
way I roll it off my tongue. How have you been, David?
I've been good. How have you been?
I'm a little under the weather today. Actually.
Why?
I don't know. The AfterBuzz flu.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense, but it's what I'm naming it.
Okay. Good for you.
So, couple announcements before we get started.
Mm-hmm.
Announcement number 1. We are back on iTunes and Stitcher, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
It's been a rough month and a half, but we are back. We are running and going strong.
Awesome.
Also, would like to congratulate our first ever AfterBuzzers of the month.
Oh.
We have Michelle Macedo, John Comerford, and Ed Bowling. So congratulations to you guys. All right, let's
Good
get
for you
into
guys. Good for
some
you.
weeds.
Yeah.
Weed. Let's get into weed. All right, so we missed last week, and we totally apologize for that, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Real quick recap. Basically, Andy, Silas, Shane, they go to visit Nancy at the, what is it called?
The halfway house.
The halfway house. Yeah. And Nancy sees them and dips out. Mainly because she has one thing in mind, and that is to sell these grenades. Oh, Nancy Bob.
Every time I hear grenade, I start thinking of that Bruno Mars song.
She'll catch a grenade.
Oh, yeah. And then I think it's like a love song, and then I'm getting all confused in my brain.
Well, the grenades kind of do represent love in a way, which we'll get to later in the episode.
They definitely do not.
Not love, just dirty.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
All right, so we start the episode out. Well, basically last week, Nancy went out and tried to sell the grenades and got high with this military guy, and she came back and got in trouble for being high. So now she has to go to a drug class. So they started the episode off with her in a drug class, and
Well, first, the opener of the episode was quite disturbing for me.
the puppets.
The marionettes?
The marionettes.
Yeah, you should be excused.
Well, they're very scary marionettes.
They're super creepy.
That cow was, or was it a horse?
I think it was the 8-legged horse.
Basically,
And
when
the
Shane was
sheep.
in Copenhagen, he had a little marionette gig going on.
Yeah, he was him and his girlfriend, later on in the episode we find out that they were rated the top children's act in
Yes.
Copenhagen.
Which, hey, good for them.
I know, right?
Why not?
Kind of awesome gig.
So, yeah, and it was kind of creepy that later in the episode when Shane's like going through his phone, showing Nancy the pictures of them and how excited he was. It was like, oh, you're still a little boy.
He's definitely still a child.
But yeah, so that after the marionettes and the gossiping crows come down, basically Nancy starts out in a drug class, and in this class she finds out, I mean, she's kind of put in place by, I can't remember her name, but Pocahontas will call her.
What would Adele? I think she kept calling her Adele. No, Miss. I can't remember now.
Well, so we'll go with Pocahontas.
Pocahontas is good for me.
Yeah, so basically Pocahontas is yelling at Nancy saying, you have a crazy track record. Do you want to go back? Nancy obviously doesn't. And as Pocahontas is speaking to the other girls are kind of naming off drug dealers that they used to work for. And, of course, Nancy has to write these down. And it's just like, here we go again. Like,
so stupid.
It's a fiend. It's very fiend syndrome.
It is, yeah. It's like she's addicted to selling.
What? Yeah.
It's not like she's even a user. She's like addicted to selling, which makes no sense. I mean, I guess the money.
It's quick, easy cash.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just got out of jail. It's really the only thing she does know, because going back to the first season, I can't even think of...
Well, she didn't have a job.
She's never had a job, actually. Wow. She was a maid last season, I believe, for a little bit. But even with that, she was, putting weed in people's rooms and selling it that way. So, I don't know. But let's talk about someone who does have a job. We have Doug this episode, who last week he met up with one of his friends who he used to
college buddy,
an old college buddy, and who remembers Doug for his accounting, but mostly for his softball skills. So Doug wears this crazy orange
chenille blazer.
Yeah, with elf shoes.
With pointy, like, cowboy boots. Pretty awesome.
Going to Wall Street just like this, and actually got the job, which was kind of crazy.
Well, it seemed like the guy just wanted him to hire him so that he could have somebody for his softball team.
Yeah.
Which is like...
I'm not certified. Oh, don't worry
about it. We'll take care of it. It's totally fine.
Yeah. So Doug's going to be riding it strong on Wall Street. So good for him, doing big things and getting back in the game. Because, I mean, Doug was an accountant in the first few seasons.
Yeah, that was
so he was legit.
Well, not really. I mean, if you remember, he wasn't a very good accountant.
Yeah. But, hey, these guys don't care. Now, throughout this episode, we have Silas, who he's kind of been upset with his mother because last week, as they all got to the halfway house, Silas was the only one to see Nancy last week. He turned around and saw her peeking behind a corner, and as soon as she saw them, she dipped out, and the fire alarm went off, and he's kind of holding that against her. And he's also been holding it against her, the fact that, she never told him that his real father wasn't really his father. So he's still been going through that, and now it's been 3 years.
I know, get over it, really.
Well,
it's time to move on.
it is time to get over it.
It's been 3 years. It's time to forgive your mother.
Right. Well, or at least have the conversation with her.
Or that, be the adult and talk to her about your issues. Don't hold it against her. She did the best that she could.
Well,
for a woman who, was desperate, she did do.
I do gotta say, Nancy, she's not in the best predicaments, but
no, she's not the best mother. But not everyone has perfect parents, and they do the best that they can with the situations that they get thrown into.
And Silas got thrown into a situation today as well.
Good segue.
Basically, he got this gig, and now last week he tried to apply for all these modeling jobs, for this modeling company, actually. And the girl kind of laughed at him, like, who are you? Your body's not that great. She kind of put him down. But he explained that he's a hard worker and he's motivated. And that got the woman to be like, okay, I'll see what I can do for you. So this week she gets him a gig, and he meets Maxine, who says, she's an artist, and she doesn't really disclose what's going to happen, but basically for one night he gets $2,000.
Which is amazing.
I mean,
I'd do it.
So at the gig, he basically is inside one of these hamster balls.
So it looks, when he first comes out, it looks like a hamster wheel.
Well, it's like those inflatable.
Yeah, and it definitely ends up not being a hamster wheel.
No. It's actually, I don't know if the malls out here have it, but back home, if you go to like some of the malls, they have this big giant pool, and you go inside that bubble thing, and you can like walk on the water. I don't know if that's what its real purpose is, but
Invented.
it was basically Bubble Boy for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
With John Travolta in the 70s.
Was John Travolta in that?
No, the Boy in the Bubble.
Oh.
Made for TV movie. I think it's with Sissy Spacek and John Travolta from the 70s.
Oh, yeah, but you just totally bringing me back to Superstar.
Yeah.
Made for TV movie.
Made for TV movie. Yes. And then there's that.
Yeah.
And she watches that movie in Superstar.
And rewinds it and keeps rewinding it.
The Boy in the Bubble.
So basically, Silas is the boy in the bubble, and everyone's watching him. He comes out like he's like Atlas, with his arms spread out and just like interesting because his body was 10 times more cut than the first episode we saw.
Somebody went on a diet.
But I wonder how they were filming these.
Like the order that they filmed them in?
Yeah, for his, because that first one, his body was really
Edgy.
a little bit.
Well, I mean, he's young. It doesn't take him long to lose the weight.
Within this, he's walking around in this bubble, and all of a sudden the bubble starts deflating, and he can't breathe, and people are like clapping at him and thinking
they're
that
loving it. They're like, "Oh yes, this is amazing.
This is art," and all this craziness and whatnot.
Pretentious art scene in New York.
Yes, and basically, Andy grabs a knife. He's the only one who's worried about him, and cuts the bubble open, and saves Silas. And come to find out that this was all a part of Maxine's plan.
Right, it's like a whole social experiment that she says
Nobody's ever
saved like the subject of the art, which is crazy to me that she's like performed this like quote unquote performance art piece all over the world, and no one has ever saved the subject.
Because I mean, like, at first when the bubble was deflating, I could kind of see somebody being like, "Oh, this must be a part of it."
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a part of it at first as well.
But then when he's like literally on his knees, like, it's kind of like, someone want to jump in there, or?
I mean, I guess it's sort of the same thing that like if you see an accident, or like they say like if someone sees an accident, everyone's always waiting for someone else to call the police, or they're like assuming that someone else has already called the police so they don't.
So it's like that? What's that TV show? What Would You Do?
Yeah.
Would you have helped? Or what do you think in that situation? Like,
I probably would have helped.
I would have wanted to help. I don't know if I would run over to it with a knife.
Oh, I definitely would have. I definitely would have. I'm a very quick reactor. You don't know this about me, but I react to bad situations very quickly and in the right manner normally.
Well, so I guess we'll be hanging out more often.
Just in case you get in trouble. I'm always the first one calling 911.
Yes.
If you start to choke.
There we go.
You know who to call.
Ghostbusters.
The Ghostbusters.
So back to the halfway house, we have Andy and Shane, who it kind of seems like they're going to be the duo of this season.
Like the dynamic duo?
Yeah, I mean, because we see the scene where they tell Nancy that they want to live in New York.
Right. They want to stay in New York, which she's not too happy about.
No, she kind of almost pushed them away and was kind of like, well, no, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not meant to be a mother.
Not meant to be a mother. And yet she's freaking out about her baby, which we'll get to.
And it's always funny with the baby, with Stevie. There's always been jealousy between Shane, Silas, and Stevie. And I feel like she's almost given up with Silas and Shane.
Well, they're adults.
They're adults, but it's like you can still teach them. You can still like tell them what you're doing wrong, and I don't know. I feel like with Stevie, she feels like if she gets Stevie, she'll be able to save. She'll be able to redeem herself
As a mother,
Yeah,
like
and
she wants to right all the wrongs that she's made with her previous children with
Yeah.
this new baby.
exactly. I
I don't know.
just a thought. So basically, she tells them that she doesn't know if they should live here or not. And she says, "Okay, well, if you are gonna live here, like, what's the plan? What's the game plan?" And Shane said, "Oh, I'm gonna get a job." And this is where Nancy admits, like, "No, I've screwed 4 years of your life up. You know, I want you to go to college. I want you to get an education." Where now we see Shane going out and taking the initiative.
To actually like apply for colleges.
Yeah, well, he applied to one college, the community college,
City college, yeah.
City College, and
That's not a community college.
no,
Definitely not.
he applied.
Bite your tongue.
I did.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
So he applies to City College and couldn't get in because he was homeschooled. But then
Was he homeschooled? Did he actually finish high school?
I don't. No. He did not finish high school.
He's just lying.
He did. Well, I don't know. They really didn't touch upon it because I remember he did go to school. Remember, and he was like hooking up with those two girls. No. He was like hooking up with these two girls who the girls used to hook up with each other, and he was like this pimp daddy and whatnot. But then they went on the run, so no, he never finished high school.
Never finished school.
But because he was in Copenhagen, he basically was, these colleges, they need to meet their quota, and he basically got accepted right away. However, he has to pay more.
Well, they don't offer scholarships
Because he's in
it's a
international.
city school and he's not a resident of New York.
Right.
So
So
he's
his tuition was more expensive.
Right, and he's applying as an international quote unquote student.
Also with that, so he starts going to these banks.
Yeah, they tell him to go get loans.
And I don't think he applied for all the loans.
No, he definitely did. He didn't. I don't think he thought it through, applying for school loans from different banks.
He was trying to see who was going to give him the best deal.
But then I think he started doing it as like a job. Like, all right, this bank's gonna give me like $20,000. This bank's gonna give me like $30,000. That one's gonna give me like 15, and just like take it all and use the money, which you can technically do if you at least take a couple classes. But the minute you graduate, you have to start paying those loans back. And I don't think he's like thinking it through.
Well, I don't think he knows to think it through.
Right. I mean, it's like, look at who his role model is.
Right. So, I mean, we'll save that for predictions as far as where we think that's going to go. 'Cause
Where we think he's going to end up.
that is going to be a mess this season.
He's a mess already.
Back to the halfway house.
Jeez.
Nancy talks with her sister. I cannot
bitch.
stand this girl. Her sister is just the worst.
She's
person.
awful. She's an awful human being.
Sitting there complaining, "Oh, sometimes I wish I had your life. I don't have to scrape mud off the kids' cleats." Like,
You get to go out and see the city, and it's like, Nancy's in a halfway house. She hasn't left. Like, she's basically in jail. What are you talking about?
and then she like yells at Nancy and being like, "Are you stupid? Stevie's in music class." And she basically says, "I faxed you your schedule. Like, what
Where did you fax
prescription
it to?
drugs are you taking?"
Did you fax it to FedEx or something? FedEx Ginkgos, and then
Just wrote Nancy Botwin.
Nancy Botwin. Attention, Nancy Botwin. Like, where did she fax it to?
Oh God. And then explains that, after music class, Stevie has an interview at Waldorf Kindergarten,
Yeah. Sounds like super fancy.
which is $400 a
Kindergarten.
week, and then music class is $130 a week on top of that.
Yeah.
Now here's my thing: If you're paying $400 for a kindergarten, I would assume they would have a music class involved in that.
Well, not necessarily like a specialized instrument type music class.
I mean, the kid is.
I would assume so. I mean, he's 3 years old.
Yeah. What instrument is he playing?
The recorder.
Okay, they have that in my high school.
They have that in your high school.
Well, it wasn't. It was middle school when we had
in the high school band. Everyone played the recorder, and everyone played Three Blind Mice.
the same
note. There were 40 of you, and you all played the one song every rehearsal and performance.
Yes.
Just Three Blind Mice.
That's what it was.
You're so fancy. Your high school sounds amazing.
It was the elite high school that I went to.
Oh, for all the smart kids.
Yes, I had to pay $400 a week to get in there.
To get in there. Ooh.
So yeah, Nancy's freaking out. She's like, what? Why?
Well, I think Jill wants her to pay for it.
No, that's exactly what she wants. She said, so what's up with the money? Like, and here's where everything bugs out. Before we talk about getting paid, she basically at the end of it.
Before we talk about getting paid.
Before we talk about getting paid. No, but at
Good
the end.
high school education, right?
Jill says, that's that $400 a week. Basically at the end, Jill says, hey, you're going to be getting some papers from me. Are you going to fax the papers to the same place?
Yes, she's faxing them to wherever she has a fax machine, apparently, in her bedroom.
And
it's a toaster oven, and the faxes just come out of it.
And she's basically going to try and get custody of Stevie. Because
well, it's not, she doesn't even ask.
No, she's like
hey, I'm sending over the papers so that I can get custody of your child so that he can go to school. Okay, bye.
Well, so here's my thing. Why do you need custody of him? Because if you're the sister, you automatically would be able to enroll him in school.
I don't think she can because she's not a parent.
But if you're the legal guardian,
well, yeah, I mean that would make sense. If she was the legal guardian, she would be allowed to
and so
enroll her in school. But I don't know if she's the legal guardian or not. I mean, they never told us any of that.
She was until, and I guess Nancy said, but now I'm out. So now she's not the legal guardian anymore.
Right. So now she's like
technically not out.
Babysitter.
Right, but you're technically not out because you can't be in the halfway house with your child.
No, but as soon as she gets a job, she can move out of the halfway house, I believe.
Right. Well, yeah, she needs a job. She needs to establish residency.
Which takes a year.
Really?
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a year to establish residency in any state in the country.
Ouch, ouch.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just bothers me with Jill because it's just like you're just. Now, I know she has always been upset with Nancy for whatever reason. I feel jealousy.
I don't know if it's jealousy.
What would you say?
She's just a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, literally, there's just something mentally
There's like
wrong
no
with her.
explaining it. Like she's an angry woman.
And you really sit there like, so what's up with the job? Because, Waldorf is $400 a week and the music classes are $130 a week.
Well, then don't put him in the damn Waldorf kindergarten or the music classes. Wait till Nancy's a resident of New York and like get over it. He's 3 years old. I think it can wait a year.
Exactly.
And then Nancy can make the decisions for herself.
And Nancy even said like, he doesn't need to go to the Waldorf school. Like her kids, she said, my kids didn't go to that. And then Jill, being the bitch she is, was like, and look where your kids are.
Well, I mean, it's true.
It's true, but it's like you just took that to an extreme.
Well, yeah, of course.
Like, we know where Silas and Shane are. You didn't have to rub it in. We know where Nancy is.
But Silas is doing fine. Okay.
Right.
He's doing okay. He's doing fine by himself.
But Silas also was older, and Nancy was more of a mother with Silas.
For a while, yeah. Before their
Shane was literally like, we've seen Shane grow up through this whole
That's very true.
series. So he is literally the epitome of what Nancy has created.
I mean, he has a pretty good head on his shoulders for the most part. For the most part, he is able to.
Let's remember he also has like this psycho. I like to kill people and watch dead things.
Don't we all, though?
Hey, I need to leave the room.
You're not even in the room.
Mind you, David's sitting in the dark right now, talking about, don't we all love to kill people?
Don't we all love to kill people and watch them floating in the pool?
Okay.
No, is that just me?
Just you.
All right, whatever.
So basically, Nancy starts freaking out and begs this Pocahontas parole officer, can I get out? And that's when she, says you need to get a job, establish residency, and you're going to be put on a 48-hour probation, in which you have to job hunt.
Well, I think I was very confused about that because she said she was going to put her on 48-hour probation and then she was going to let her leave the house for 4 hours to look for a job. But then she had to report back at the house.
Right. So what I'm assuming it was is you have 4 hours to apply to all these places. Come back. You're on probation for 48 hours.
And if anything happens within that 48 hours, back to jail.
Back to jail. But I don't even know if it was to that extent. I think it was you have 4 hours to go out there, apply to as many places as you can. You come back here for 48 hours. You're locked in here. And hopefully these jobs will call you within the 48 hours and you'll be able to get a gig.
And of course, Nancy doesn't apply to a single job.
Well, she went to one. She went to
one.
That cooking.
That's right. She was at a kitchen.
Yes. And the guy randomly grabbed her ass, which was annoying.
But well deserved.
I mean, first of all, this kitchen had only women in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they all look like prison women.
Yeah. And Nancy got freaked out and walked out. And then ended up going back to Andy's house, our new apartment, and basically put all of Silas's clothes on, which it was really interesting because I didn't get why Andy said, oh, have fun with your new friends, and apparently you're going on a date. I didn't get that because I do get it now, but the fact is that, she changed out of her little Asian touristy clothes that she had on.
That was definitely like a black church lady outfit.
Really? It was very Lady Gaga of her. For sure. It needed the big brimmed hat.
Yes. But it was awesome.
Yeah, so she gets changed into this low-cut T-shirt, which I'm kind of like, whose shirt was that?
It was Silas's.
That's really gay. It was perfect form-fitting for a woman.
Perfect. And so were the jeans.
I mean, Silas.
And then later on he was like, take my jeans off. And I was like, they fit her perfectly.
And her legs were too skinny for your thighs to be in anything. Because as we saw, Silas has a really nice butt. Just a really nice body, period. What's going on, Dave?
Nothing. You're embarrassing me.
Why am I embarrassing you?
I don't know, you are.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Oh. So, yeah.
I'm like a little boy.
David.
This whole show, everything that happens makes me so uncomfortable.
What?
It does.
You're so crazy.
I know. I'm insane.
Yeah, so I thought that was hilarious with the whole him wanting his pants back. Let's see. So basically, Nancy had already opened up, Nancy told Andy about the grenades and the contents in the bag. And this is just Nancy, what are you doing?
I don't know how she got out of the halfway house with that suitcase.
Well, no, because here's what she does. She hides the suitcase. When she leaves the halfway house, she goes to the apartment building next door. She rings all of the buzzers, and someone usually lets her in. She goes to the roof, and they're doing construction or something on the roof, and under a tarp is where she keeps the bag.
Okay.
So she gets the bag, and she goes to this military guy's house. I forget his name.
Dimitri.
Dimitri, yes. And she's basically trading. What was she trading?
She was trading the bag of explosives for weed. And we see that she hands him over the bag of explosives, the grenades and the bombs and the what have you, and he gives her a whole bunch of weed inside of it was either like a radio or like a CD player or something like that. I don't really know what it was, but he gives it to her, and then Pocahontas lady calls her back because she's been calling her like every hour.
I mean, like...
She told her, she was like, I'm going to check in with you every single hour.
Well, no, she said for her
to call her. Oh, right, that's right. And then I guess she never did.
No, because every time it was Pocahontas calling her.
Every single time. Well, I mean, she's the only one who has the number.
I mean, just like, how dirty Demetrius and Nancy. Like, Nancy just can't.
See, it made me really uncomfortable. She's on the phone and the guy's like going to town on her lady bits.
Okay, so have you ever been in a situation
where someone's on the phone?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be a sexual situation.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever been in a situation where you know you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing, and someone calls and kind of puts you in that awkward position? Like, think of when you were younger, like maybe with your mom or something, you were with friends, or you guys skipped school or something along that line.
I never skipped school.
I actually didn't either, but
never. I didn't. Never until I went to college, and then I never went to class.
Oh, we're just twins, dude.
We are. Every single day.
Literally, I
was
so scared to go. I mean, like when at the end of my senior year, when everyone was like at the beach and all that, I was like, I cannot.
I went to school on senior skip day.
Me too.
So awful. So awful. And then yeah, college came around. I was never in class.
I was never
to be found.
Never. My first year of college. Well, no, my first semester of college, I was in every class, and then I was like, oh, I don't really need to be doing this.
I think the first week I went to every class, and then I was like, this sucks.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
That's not true. That is not true. That's everyone's view.
It really is. But, okay,
But college is important. Go to school, stay in school, get your education. It helps.
It's also interesting to see Nancy, who's such a California mind, in New York.
Like her laid backness, are you talking about? Like, I don't really.
Well, just like her riding the train, and you know, every time. Well, oh, you didn't watch last week's episode.
No, I didn't get to see last week, guys.
But basically, she feels really uncomfortable every time she has to ride the subway, and makes it like it's this big deal.
It is a big deal.
I love the subway.
I do too, but there's, you know, sometimes like during rush hour, it can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's not like the most fun thing to do in the entire world. Especially when it's hot.
Yeah. No.
Or raining. Or snowing.
Oh, wait. I want to get back to this. The Dimitri and Nancy thing.
Yes.
It's just like Andy said, Nancy, did you not learn anything 3 years being in prison?
Right. She hasn't. She really hasn't.
And you see just this childish, coy smile, smirk on her face. And it's just like, how can you be sitting there crying to this woman that you want your son back? But then again, you really didn't try to look for a job. You're out fucking this fucking military dude who you're selling illegal grenades to.
Well, not even selling, like trading.
Trading for weed.
For weed.
And that's not I don't believe that's a fair deal. Because I think she could have sold those weapons and then ended up purchasing way more weed.
Who the hell would she sell illegal weapons to, okay? Where on earth do you think she's taking these grenades and guns and like
Craigslist?
Craigslist. Sure I have some illegal grenades.
She does not have to write illegal.
To purchase them.
She does not have to write illegal.
Clearly, she didn't get them from like being in the war or like
My great-great-grandfather.
Right? It's like clearly she's acquired them through very shady business deals.
But it's just like imagine if she gets pregnant now, because I don't feel like they had safe sex.
You're concerned about her getting pregnant again?
Yes, I am, as we've seen with Nancy Botwell.
I don't think they had sex.
Really? I think
Yes.
they did.
I think he just,
3 years of being in prison.
ate a snack.
No. 3 years. You've been in prison.
know how
She's
to
been
phrase
getting her
that.
snack eaten for 3 years.
Oh, that's true. That's true. She did have a lesbian.
No, she wants a Dunkaroo. That's what.
Ew.
Put your cookie in the cream.
Gross.
Sorry.
Shut up. That's disgusting.
All right, how about this moment? She gets back to Andy's apartment.
Yes. And she's hiding
She's hiding the clock, the radio,
the CD player thing.
whatever the fuck.
Whatever it is. I think it
Basically, it's the transporter for the pot.
Yeah.
And Silas catches her, and this is where he wants his pants back.
Mm-hmm.
And her phone rings, and it's Pocahontas again.
Yes.
And Silas answers it. Nancy basically only has like a half hour left before she has to
I don't
be
know.
back.
It's dark out.
Yeah, which made no sense to me because it's
No,
like
the time flew by. I don't know what time she left the halfway house, but
4 hours.
she
That's
was
a
gone for
long
4 hours, and some of those 4 hours were not during business hours.
No.
It's like she left at 6 o'clock and has to be back at 10. It's like 2 of those hours were useless.
Right? How were you gonna? Right. That made all right. Come on, Showtime. I liked how Silas offered her
Money.
to get a cab
Me too.
because it's
But he is looking for something in return.
well. I mean,
Because he wants to sell the weed for her and split it 50-50.
was it 50? I thought he wanted more.
Possibly. I
Yeah.
don't know. He didn't really say. But I'm assuming it's 50-50. Or at least like
I thought it was
70-30.
like 60-40.
Maybe.
70-30 is what she was gonna do last week with Dimitri.
Right.
This and
But he did say he wants to split the profits with her. Unlike she did.
okay. So I mean, with that, it was like I understand why Silas is doing this because it's almost like, oh, you want to go back to your drug dealing ways? Well, you're gonna get screwed over, and I'm gonna screw you over. Because I mean, it's almost like teaching her a lesson. Like, you want to be that scum that going around trying just like I mean, it's just a fiend status. She just
Well, what is she going to do? Is she going to go work in a kitchen?
yes, yes. You
No.
do things the right way. Get out of the halfway house.
No.
Yes, you have to build your.
Become a stripper.
No, you have to build your credit up. I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm really surprised Nancy hasn't done that yet. I'm actually surprised she hasn't prostituted herself yet.
Really?
I'm really surprised.
I don't think she would hook. I think she would be a better stripper than she would prostitute.
I mean, I saw the way Dimitri was looking at her. I don't know.
I know she should have gotten a few bones out of him.
Yeah, but
Alas, she did not.
So I mean, as far as the episode's concerned,
There's a whole mess of stuff going on.
I mean,
And it is early on in the season.
and that's the thing that for this to be only a half-hour show, they really pack a. This seemed like a long episode.
It did.
There was a lot going on this episode. Last week's episode, I watched these two back to back, and they kind of flowed with each other. But this week, they crammed so much stuff in it. Nancy went from so many different places. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
In every season, I'm always Team Nancy. And I am Team Nancy this season, but I'm seeing a side of Nancy where it's just...
Are you not liking her as much?
Yeah, I'm
Really?
not that I'm not liking her. I'm just really disappointed.
Well, she's definitely changed from previous seasons to this season. Very well warranted because she spent the past, quote unquote, 3 years in jail. So she is technically a different woman.
True, because I mean, as she got into trouble in all these situations in the past, it was like she didn't really want to put herself in those situations. It just kind of had to happen.
Right. And now she's making the conscious decision
Exactly.
to put herself back into that world.
Right, and that's what bothers me.
Right.
And I think that's what bothers
Silas.
Andy and Silas.
I don't think Andy does. Andy doesn't seem to be so concerned about it.
Well, not as concerned as Silas, but when he was talking to her about the grenades and, you know...
But he went out and he found her a dealer.
Well, but that's just because Andy's in love with her.
Right, but if he was concerned about her well-being and concerned about the decisions that she was making to get back into that world, he would tell her nothing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Otherwise...
Yeah, but Andy's always gone against what he believed in.
He's an enabler.
Exactly. Exactly. If this was intervention, he would have been the enabler.
He is the enabler.
So yeah, I mean, before we head over to a commercial break, any last words about the episode?
Just that the artist, what was her name?
Hold on, Maxine.
Maxine. She used to be on Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yes, yes. Because I was looking at her and I'm just like,
where is she from?
Hey.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
That is it. All right. Well, with that, we're gonna head over to a commercial break, and we will BRB.
Want to find out what the AfterBuzz is about?
Janice is a drama queen.
This is the divide that is going to carry the series.
Give us a call. 424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
It's television, and they want it to be as dramatic as possible.
I mean, it's Shakespearean.
You never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Find out why AfterBuzz TV is the #1 source for after-show content.
Now, in the eyes of Jimmy, Nucky is a villain.
424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
I mean, who would you guys rather hear that from? Your husband or your best friend?
The wig will come out.
When the TV show is over, get your AfterBuzz on.
All right, so we are back, and we're about to get into predicciones.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I mean, they really didn't give us...
They didn't give us a lot.
They showed us, you know, scenes, but I don't really know what to predict out of them. Like Martin Short next week.
Which is awesome. Really excited for Martin Short making a cameo.
I wonder what role he will play.
Well, it looks like... Well, Nancy gets a job in Doug's office.
Which is going to be...
Which is good.
Well, hopefully. Because...
Whatever, she gets a job.
It's a job, but I mean, and it's a great job.
And it's a good... Well, we don't know what job it is.
We don't know
yet.
what job it is, but I'm saying to be working on Wall Street doing anything.
Doing something. Good job.
You know what I mean? In that sense, it's like...
Benefits, probably pays well.
Right. So I hope she does not screw this up.
She definitely will.
She definitely will.
She definitely will.
So find a way to like sell to these big wigs.
Well, maybe that's her next step. She's gonna.
Oh god.
She's a receptionist or like a personal assistant.
She's gonna start selling coke.
And oh my god, selling coke on Wall Street.
She went from weed to hash. You never know.
You never know.
What else did we see? We saw Andy hooking up with Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah. And he finds out that she's married, and she says she's polyamorous.
Awkward.
Which is super, super awkward.
It's kind of interesting the people who they bring in, who they're gonna bring in.
As guest stars?
Yeah, because we still haven't met Michelle. Was it Michelle Trachtenberg?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be coming in and playing Nancy's
rival?
Yes.
Or Silas's
and Silas's love interest.
Lava.
Yeah, and then what was the third one the third clip that we got? Was that?
That was it.
Was it? Yeah.
She was in the copy room, and some guy was telling her nice shoes, and she was like, "Thanks, you bought them for me with petty cash."
Yeah. Oh, Nancy.
Nancy, in a world of trouble.
So where do we think everything's gonna go with Shane?
I don't know, because he wasn't really in this episode that much. And it doesn't really look like he's going to be in next week's episode. Either he's going to school, either he's definitely going to go and enroll into college, or he went and got the loans and he's going to be using the money for like personal use.
Right.
Which I think that's more the road that it's going down.
I think that definitely will be the road. And then Andy and Nancy will have to get him out of that. Because I'm sure Nancy will use that money in some sort of crazy way.
Of course. Of course.
All right. Well,
That's
our
it?
predictions. That's it. That's our predictions for this week. Join David and the rest of the cast of the AfterBuzz Pretty Little Liars group. They'll be up at 8:30. And yeah, until next time, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Peace, y'all.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janedy, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.